In this video, we're going to take a look at this Buffet Series 100 alto saxophone. I'm going to give it a detailed review from a player's perspective and from a technician's perspective. At the end of the video, I'm going to rate it from 0 to 100. I will demonstrate it, and then I'll give an up-close video of this beautiful student model saxophone. Let's get started. Buffet markets this saxophone as a student model saxophone. Although it does have some features of an intermediate or professional saxophone, it's keyed from low B flat to high F sharp. Some interesting features and cosmetic looks of this saxophone include the engraving, which is really nice. It's a simple engraving to design, but it does look really nice. And the lacquer is really beautiful. They did a nice job finishing it. There aren't really any cosmetic flaws that I could see. A couple interesting cosmetic features also are the low B flat guard and the low C and E flat guard have an interesting design, as well as the bell brace is a solid piece, which is interesting look, and Buffet does that on a few of their saxophones. There's also an adjustable thumb rest. I also really like this octave key. It feels really nice under the thumb and works really well. The post construction is ribbed, so all the posts are soldered onto a piece of brass, and then the brass is soldered on the saxophone. That makes the post really stable and sturdy. One issue I did have with this saxophone is slightly used, and some of the pearls were falling off when I got it, and I was able to gently pry the rest of the pearls off and had to re-glue them all. So that is an issue. The glue they used looked like maybe some sort of contact cement. I re-glued them with a hot melt glue, which works really well and doesn't get brittle like a super glue or a contact cement that was used on this particular model. The sound quality, I wasn't too impressed with the sound quality. To me, it's really focused, which of course that's nothing wrong with being really focused, but the sound was really just kind of thin and almost tinny to me. Maybe it's something I need to play a little bit more, but I did play it for quite a while and I never could really fall in love with it. Also, the intonation for me, I was having trouble playing it in tune. There's just some weird notes and that could be the mouthpiece setup that I'm using with this saxophone, which is a Ted Klum Acoustimax, and I mean it's a great mouthpiece and works well with my other saxophones, but maybe for some reason it just doesn't cooperate with this saxophone, which happens from time to time. The factory setup. Overall, the factory setup I thought was really good. There was a few issues, like the spring tension is all over the place, which made the saxophone really uncomfortable to play, and probably was one of the reasons I was fighting it to really enjoy playing the saxophone. There is some key play overall, a little too much for what I would think is acceptable for a brand new saxophone, or in this case one that's a year old or so. They did use a good amount of glue installing the pads, which is nice because from a technician's perspective, leveling pads, you have to have enough glue to move the pads around and make them seal. And this saxophone had a good amount of glue. I was impressed with the amount of glue they used. I did think the pads are a little flimsy, and moving the pads around, it was a little hard to adjust, but I was able to get the pads to seal and get it to play well. Overall, the materials used were good quality material. There's a few areas I wish they would have used a tech cork or a more dense felt, like under the adjusting arms. If you use a natural cork like they did here, over time those compress, and then you end up with leaks and adjustments that you need to get taken care of, and isn't quite as reliable as if you used a tech cork or a really dense felt. But overall, the materials seem nice. That's the overview of the saxophone. Let's move on to the rating system. But first, if you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And I would love to hear your thoughts on the saxophone if you played one before. I have played some of their upper end models, and I was really impressed with like I was gonna say Beecher 400, but I should say Buffet 400. This saxophone received a 52 out of 100, which is a little lower than other saxophones in this price category. Here are the categories and their individual scores. Ease of future adjustments, 6 out of 10. I think overall this saxophone will be pretty easy to maintain. Key venting, 4 out of 10. There's a lot of key venting issues with this saxophone. Sound quality, 4 out of 10. I really thought the sound was lacking on this saxophone. Build quality, 3 out of 10. That's scored really low due to the amount of key play and the pearls that are falling off. Factory setup, 5 out of 10. Pad glue used, 6 out of 10. More pad glue than most manufacturers used, and that's a good thing. Spring evenness, 5 out of 10. Overall, it's hit and miss. The horn just feels weird under the fingers due to the spring tension. Material qualities, 6 out of 10. Overall, the material quality is good. Cosmetic looks and finish quality, 9 out of 10. The saxophone's beautiful. I think they did a great job finishing it, and the looks, I think it looks really nice. I think these guards are a little different than a lot of saxophones use, just kind of makes it look unique, and the big bell brace. Yeah, it's a nice looking saxophone. Graving too. Long-term value and resale. These do not hold their value well at all. I have seen these go for really cheap, especially considering they're pretty expensive new. So that's a 4 out of 10. Hopefully that's not too high of a score really, but I did give it a 4 out of 10. That gives us a total of 52 out of 100. Let's move on to the playtest and then the up-close video. Thanks so much for watching.